Vivos finished something. Okay. Man, there's so much going on. We can't do any of those yet. Dargonus is still working on Call to Arms. Janus is working on Capella Biologist. Foulstone can work on Sacred Comet finally, which I think was the direction I decided I wanted to go. Because a +5 to all characteristics feels really good. As opposed to armor or a hammer. Yeah. Okay, we got the complete development project to the highest level in any colony. Nothing, no event because of that? There we go. Just had to leave and come back. Lord Captain, the situation on Foulstone requires your attention. One of the servants tasked with the Crucible's maintenance has declared publicly that he has been liberated of all worldly concerns, for he is none other than the reincarnation of Saint Cognatius. There are some extremely questionable reports claiming that he has performed miracles. Supported by a congregation garnered by preaching, he has asked for your lordship's permission to depart from Foulstone with the Crucible in tow, so that he may continue Saint Cognatius's work and use the relic to transform worlds, ones true to the faith of the Imperium, into lush, splendorous gardens. Probably not. It goes without saying that such a generous gift to the Koronus Expanse could bring great renown to your lordship, but at a heavy cost. Foulstone would turn back into a wasteland, and you would lose the prestige that comes from having charge of such a valuable relic. What do we know about this so-called Saint Cognatius' reincarnate? Tibor Hike, a technomat from Footfall. He now prefers to be called Brother Purevoice, an unremarkable commoner with no family, gaunt, unkempt, covered in scabs from working the Crucible. He became obsessed with it from the day it was discovered. He never left his maintenance post, never rested, barely even slept, fasting and living off stimulants and condensate from the relic's cooling circuit. Then he started having revelations and eventually saw the truth, or he went completely insane. His sermons are directed at commoners, appealing to them for humility and mercy. He often speaks about his former life as a saint, and many of these tales match the legends of Saint Cognatius. No anarchical pronunciations or radical deviations from the creed have been found in his words, yet. Alright. We could... Wow, we have 4 options. We could execute this dangerous agitator publicly. The colony must have order. We would lose complacency, gain St. Cognatius's Horstensorium. Whenever the wearer suffers an attack from a demon or warp damage, they inflict burning 8 to all adjacent enemies. All burning effects inflicted by the wearer deal double damage if they target demons or psykers. I don't really care about the burning damage to adjacent creatures, but doing double... all burning being double as much on demons and psykers feels pretty good. Shadow of the Undying One. It's light armor. Whenever the wearer dodges or parries an enemy attack, the wearer gains +7 momentum. Plus weapon skill bonus parry and agility bonus dodge against ranged attacks. Let's make him undergo the trial of purity. Let him die trying to prove his holiness, at least so he can stop troubling the people. He must be inducted into the Order of the Hammer forcibly if necessary. We gain consecrated weapons. The Pure Voice Prophet has blessed the ship's weapons. All void ship weapons except torpedoes deal 10% more damage. Not bad. Or give the Crucible to him. Let him use it to bring worlds into the Imperium's fold. We gain the Emperor's Will Power Hammer. A successful hit with this weapon, the target must pass toughness test with -10 penalty or become stunned. If the target fails the test, the attack has no cooldown. Which presumably means it has a cooldown that it's not telling me. Not thrilled by that. I wish to hear the opinions of my advisors. I have had ample experience with saintly saviors like him in the past. Whatever great cause they proclaim as their mission, they genuinely, naively believe the people really do need them. If we round up enough orphans and lepers who would trip over themselves to beg for our prophet for salvation, he will soon forget all about the crucible and his holy mission. I know a few guilds of professional beggars who would be delighted to offer their services to us. What does that accomplish? We just get a guild of professional beggars to make him think that he's helping them and ignore the crucible? I don't see that that helps us in any way. False prophets in the street are a common occurrence. Their sermons breed turmoil, riots, and acts of disobedience. The Inquisition recommends that such unstable agents be isolated and quietly removed. The archenemy's lies take many guises, but the Emperor's miracles are 100-fold stronger. On more than a few occasions, he has bestowed epiphanies upon the faithful, even those of the humblest origin. I myself bear the name of a poor orphan who was granted miraculous powers by his grace, so give me time, and I will find you the most loyal agents to escort Brother Purevoice on his travels. They will keep him safe if he is pure, or punish him should they sense deceit in his words, but I have a feeling that his rebirth is a true wonder. You're too trusting, I think. So if Heinrich's agents get rid of him, we just get the item and some complacency. Executing the dangerous person gives us the item and loses complacency. We would get the consecrated weapons if Jai does her thing. So he would bless our weapons, but not have to take the crucible. If we went with Argenta, we would get 2 profit factor, the Emperor's Will Hammer, and Pure Voiced Fame. Rogue Trader gains plus 15 bonus to all their skills. I mean, that's not nothing. But I'm actually tempted by Jai's, because consecrated weapons plus 10% damage with our weapons feels pretty good. Since we've recently had a ship battle that we couldn't handle. Little bonuses to make our ship better. Feels better than this item. I mean, double damage, double burning damage to demons and psykers. It's cool, but I suspect I'm already using slots for important things. We already gained another item that I haven't equipped yet. And they say if we give up the crucible, Foulstone just becomes a barren rock again. And I don't know what long-term effects that's going to have, so I'm more inclined to have Jai do her thing. Leave the crucible here, and we will just boost our ship. Gladly, Shireen. Manipulating blessed simpletons is the easiest thing in the world. There is nothing they crave more than to feel needed. The Pure-Voiced Prophet was mobbed by an entourage of professional beggars and cripples. Upon seeing how many people need him on Foulstone, the Saint Reincarnate gave up on his ambition of spreading the faith to new worlds. He vowed not to leave the planet for as long as there remained even a single soul in need of his help. He only left Foulstone once, to bless the Lord Captain's ship and counsel him to carry on St. Cognatius' holy cause. Alright, and that's the one where we finished up that. So, all that out of the way. What have we gotten recently? We got this. I haven't really noticed the experimental psi amplifier doing anything. So I'm inclined to just switch that out for this that bleeds and blinds my targets. So we'll call that good. Go to ship maintenance. We got these 3 new items. So 85% chance to hit, 10% critical hit chance. Upgrades to 92 and 15. but we would lose the evasion increase by 15%. But I think more targeting and more critical is more important. Better shields is better. And this goes into what slot? These. Long-range lance weapon dealing from 45 to 55 damage to a chosen enemy within a narrow firing arc. Or torpedo tubes capable of firing 5 plasma torpedoes with 19 damage warheads. I mean, I never use torpedoes. We always use the fighters. So, replacing my torpedo tubes feels good, I think. Yeah. I wonder if there's any way to, like, scrap these into scrap. Because I just have so much here. We could upgrade our RAM if we just had more scrap. And there's a bunch of these I'm not going to use. Because I've just got better. Okay. That's all of that. Way too much talking. So main quest there. We did technically get an improvement to our Auspex. So we could give the Eye of the Magnetic Storm another shot. Might as well, we're right here. Historically, we've never been able to pull this off. But no harm in trying again. So if we go to you. What is this artificial object? Have we explored that yet? Yeah, so only truly powerful diviner machines may see through the mystic currents of magnetic fluctuations in their blessed vigil and discover the mysteries of this Emperor-forsaken planet. We will leave it and come back later. How about I check you out, artificial object? All usual noise on the bridge ceases when the shadow of a gigantic void ship seemingly appeared out of nowhere. Sails past the stained glass windows. It seems forlorn. The hull is tarnished, the lumens are dead, the windows are broken and shrouded. The auger crew can't recognize the signature of its silent engines. They only manage to shed some light on its decrepit hull and make out the faded name of the cruiser, Queen's Lament. Boxmaster reports breaks the somber silence. The bridge has just received a boxcast from the dead void ship. Let's accept it. Business conducts a full Vox system check and reports that the communications are in order, even though only eerie, unnatural silence can be heard through the Vox. Worried murmurs sweep across the bridge. The officers are certain that this is the void ship of the old ghost story. The Queen's Lament has appeared countless times in all corners of the Imperium. Like a ghost, it manifested out of nowhere, just as mysteriously vanished into the darkness of space, taking with it those who dared to board. Queen's Lament, the rogue trader, has heard that name before. This void ship was destroyed by Xenos in one of the violent battles of the Expanse over 3 millennia ago. They say that its captain was a devout and vengeful man. So, the rumors are that anyone who boards gets mysteriously banished with the ship into darkness. Do we send scouts aboard anyway? Do we attack it, even though the ship, last we knew, was captained by a devout and vengeful man? Or do we not disturb it and let it go on? I think we'll send scouts aboard, who potentially might get vanished with the ship. The shuttle carrying the soldiers dock with the Queen's Lament without impediment. Using the disparate blueprints of other Imperial cruisers, the scouting party sets out to the bridge, following the dark, unpowered corridors that somehow retained oxygen and gravity. The numerous voices of the operator erupts through the box. The crews are still on board, but what's this? Blurry silhouettes of people with torn off limbs, cut open bellies, and twisted faces are materializing and vanishing all around in ghostly flashes. The ghosts promise the unwelcome guests that they will stay on board the Queen's Lament forever. Raising his voice to a shout, the operator reports that his comrades are already dead, and soon it will be his turn. The augurs are telling a different story. All of the scouts are alive and still moving forward. Persuasion ordered the operator to pull himself together. Soldiers must be prepared to face even the most terrifying space horrors. Coercion, coerce the operator. He will be severely punished if he does not pull himself together. Or logic, calm the soldier down. He was probably scared by the strange visions and lost sight of his comrades. We'll go persuasion. Pull himself together. He must face even the most terrifying space horrors. An anxious prayer to the Emperor is whispered over the box. For a moment, the operator falls silent, then suddenly returns, mumbling excuses about his imagination playing tricks on him. His comrades are still walking ahead of him, alive and well, and the void ship looks completely empty again. After a few minutes of silence, a child's cry can be heard through the box. The stuttering operator reports that family and friends and family of the members of the scouting party are blocking the way. The friends and family, who've all been taken by death. The soldiers confirm that they're not seeing ghosts, but living people made of flesh and bone. Soldiers are begging the rogue trader to let them talk to their loved ones for a moment. Lore Warp, remind the soldiers that it's impossible to cheat death. These visions must be a product of some dark power. Let the soldiers stay with their loved ones for a short time. No. Order the squad to proceed under threat of tribunal. Remind the soldiers that it's impossible to cheat death. These visions must be a product of some dark power. The scouts begin to argue. The unintelligible quarreling abruptly stops, and after a few minutes, the operator anxiously gives his report. As soon as the squad split up, the ones who decided to stay with their loved ones were swallowed by the darkness of the empty deck and vanished. Well, good. Half an hour later, the box comes to life once again. The operator flatly reports that the scouting party has reached the bridge. The cogitators are broken, so extracting any data from them seems impossible. The scouts have found a strange object in the captain's chair. They can't describe it, only saying that this shouldn't be there. In his usual flat voice, devoid of emotion, the operator completes his report. The way to the bridge took 16 hours and 41 minutes. The soldiers are exhausted and would like to rest for some time. Confused, Vigis notes that only half an hour has passed outside the Queen's Lament. Let the scouts rest. That seems like a bad idea. Order the squad to retrieve the unknown object and withdraw immediately. The object doesn't matter. The scouts should leave the void ship immediately. No, retrieve the object and then withdraw. The Voxcast stops abruptly, and a few minutes later, the scouting party's shuttle leaves the Queen's Lament. The void ship itself dissolves into the darkness of space. The shuttle arrives carrying a single passenger, the operator, clutching a strange parcel. The young man's hair has turned white after the time spent on the cursed vessel, and he has lost the ability to speak. His story and rumors of what happened to the other scouts will live on for many years in hushed whispers across every deck of the Rogue Trader's void ship. And we gained Unholy Relics. This amulet grants the wearer a plus 20 bonus to coercion and a minus 5 penalty to intelligence. Interesting. Yeah, that's the pirates that we don't want to fight. We could head all the way up here. Or we could finally get back onto normal quests. Which I'm thinking going to Cassia's mission seems the most interesting at the moment. So let's head that way. Although part of me wants to just create a connection to here and then a connection to there, so we have another path. It's getting us around. Yeah, to help us getting around when we're down in this area. To have a faster route over there rather than having to go all the way up and around and over and then down. Yeah, let's do so. So if we go here, we spend 3 points to make a deadly route, and then 2 more points to make it safe-ish. And then we can warp travel to here. Oh, okay. I thought that we would have a event once we got into the system, but no, we're getting an event just for landing at the system. Koronus Expanse, region Orcelio Prophecy System, location Sanctum Navis, exterior observation chambers, material witness interrogation Vox record conducted by upper deck enforcers, entry A201.48.66.10, 10 chronometer turns since the incident. Enforcer, witness hit on 00110101. You claim that you left the Sanctum Navis on the Lady Navigator's orders? Affirmative. This unit acted in accordance with the maintenance protocol TRN-08353. Step 1. Sense the sacred mechanisms for the duration of 15 chronometer turns. Step 2. You failed to inform the bridge about the imminent jump. I want to know why. The data unavailable. The Lady Navigators ordered that she be connected to the void ship, but she did not order the preparation of the machine spirits for warp translation. Cause, a ritual that cannot be identified by the unit's capabilities. This unit received the command to interrupt protocol TRN-08353 and exit the Sanctum Navis. 30 kilometers turned since the incident. No, please, not the fingers. I'm gonna break one for every word of a lie I hear coming from your mouth. Now talk. Please, you have to believe me. All we did was prepare the canvas and mix the Lady Navigator's blood into the paints. Then we were told to lock open the shutters so that the Lord Captain could see everything that was going on inside the Sanctum Navis from the observation chambers, and grok shit. Armor glass can't shield you from warp horrors. I swear it on my soul. In the Golden Throne Master Enforcer, the Lady Navigator only wanted to paint a picture for a ritual or some such. That's all I know. She wasn't going to use the powers in her eye, but I still got as far away from there as I could. That's all I saw, I'm telling you. 50 chronometer turns since the incident. I haven't been looking over here at these pictures, and now I am, and I wish I had been. Just saw it change, and I was like, oh no, I missed other stuff. So that's her painting her pictures of the warp. That's not something you want to see in the warp, I'm sure. We performed an emergency warp jump, barely activated the Geller field in time, and are now being dragged to throne knows where by an unknown force. The Lady Navigator and the Lord Captain are still unaccounted for. Now tell me one more time what transpired in the Sanctum Navis. I escorted the Lord Captain to the observation chambers and yelled at the servant for leaving the shutters open, but then I was told it was on the rogue trader's orders. We could see the Lady Navigator clearly through the armor glass. She was lost in thought, staring at the canvas in front of her. She looked like she was completely unaware of the world around her. Soon the servants were ordered to leave the Sanctum Navis, and the Lady Navigator picked up her brush. Entranced, she started dragging it across the canvas, painting one image over another, and another one over the last, and another, and then the Lord Captain noticed it. There was a thing on the other side. The picture, covered in a layer of fresh blood, was coming to life, but the Lady Navigator was oblivious. That is when the Lord Captain dashed to the control panel, gave the orders to shoot at the window, thus drawing Lady Cassia's attention. Called out to Lady Cassia. I'm going to call out to Lady Cassia. She probably won't hear through the armor glass, but we're going to call out to her. Startled by the Lord Captain's cry, the Lady Navigator answered. That's when I realized it. The armor glass between us and the Sanctum Navis was gone, and the things in the painting, they broke free. And what happened next? I barely remember a thing. There was a bright flash of purple blur. I remember feeling so scared that my knees were shaking. I remember my legs carrying me away like they had a mind of their own. As I ran, I heard screams behind me. The Lord Captain and Lady Cassia, oh God, Emperor, the creatures, they pulled them both inside the painting. Sir? Mistress Voxmaster, I have a report that needs to be delivered to the senior officers. The Lord Captain and Lady Navigator were lost during an emergency warp jump. Their whereabouts are still unknown. I'm sending you the interrogation reports and a recording. Sector, no data. Region, no data. Location, no data. Material, relation to the Lord Captain's personal account, recorded by no data. Note, strictly classified. Access protocol holder, Ignatius von Valencius. Pasiphanes Orcelio's ritual did not go as planned. The warp disturbance, triggered by the Lady Navigator's trance, washed over the Sanctum Navis. The void ship's machine spirits reacted to the surge of the Imperium and interpreted it as a call to action. Thus did the emergency jump into the unknown begin. Amid the shrieks and sirens, the clanging of shutters, and the distant hum of the warp engine, some unknown will pulled the Lord Captain into the Sanctum Navis. toward the creatures from the living canvas that had already gripped the Lady Navigator's throat. Horrified, almost out of breath, and struggling to scream, Cassia stretched out her hand and began slowly sinking into her own painting. The Lord Captain snatched a dagger from the floor and started hacking at the hands reaching from inside the painting. Reasonable choice. Not really something we would do, but apparently Ulfar's here with us. Tried to escape the Sanctum Navis, or grabbed Lady Navigator's hand to try and pull her back. I mean, trying to pull her back feels like the best call to me, but we have 100% chance with attacking the painting and only 70% to try and pull her back. So I'm going to try and hack at the painting and hope that gives a similar result of pulling her out of the painting. Although, from the report we already read, it says that we ended up getting pulled into the painting. So I'm assuming no matter what we do, we're going to end up in the painting. But let's start hacking at the hands reaching from inside the painting. The ritual dagger of House Orsilio cleaved the billowing shadows, and yet the painted hands reformed itself the moment after the blade passed through. Cassia went limp in the clutches of the horrific creations and was immediately pulled into the other side of the painting. A moment later, Ignatius, still clutching the dagger, was likewise plunged into the depths of the world the Lady Navigator had created. This reminds me of a quest from Oblivion that I played way back in the day, where you get pulled into a painting. It was a cool quest, so I'm wondering how it will be presented here. Ignatius awoke, finding himself in the middle of a gigantic, boundless, billowing nothingness. His body felt weightless, floating in a void strewn with hundreds of the Lady Navigator's colors, some of them bright and warm and alluring, others morose, cold, and heavy. Lord Captain reached for the bright colors, swam towards the dark colors, or closed his eyes and remained adrift in the weightlessness. I think our goal should be to find Cassia, and I'm hoping that she would go towards the brighter colors, because she hates the darker colors, is what we've seen. So let's go for the bright colors. Ignatius plunged into the river of bright hues, and flashes of rosy sunset and lilac carried him down the dazzling stream. Before long, the Lord Captain was standing in an idyllic garden permeated with the fragrance of flowers and the singing of birds. Servants in purple livery darted back and forth, attending to a withered old woman in a navigator's mask. Sitting on her lap and smiling coyly to everyone was a little girl with ruby eyes and white hair. Have we gone into a memory of her past? Maybe. Be a good little girl, my child, until the day we meet again. With trembling hands, the woman handed the girl to a navigator in laboratory attire. I am out of time. Prepare the child for the Atlas transfer, and destroy all records and mentions of the world of Ir-TV. None must learn of that which took place here. Remember, her body must grow strong for it to accept my power, and once I have returned, loyalty will be rewarded. Well, that's not good if her mother is trying to come back and possess her body, is what it sounds like. The memory dissipated, and a gust of silvery wind hurled the Lord Captain back into the ocean of nothingness. But this time the nothingness felt dismal. Instead of bright hues, all of it contained was shadows of invisible monsters swimming by, shrouded by a nebulous veil of unfathomableness. Lord Captain, I guess we swim towards the dark colors, because if these are memories, I'd rather learn what both of them are before we just stop trying. So let's go to the dark colors. Hopefully it returns us. Grayish blue waves swallowed the Lord Captain, and the feeling of lightness disappeared as his limbs grew heavy again. Ignatius fell on the hard floor of a laboratory cluttered with vats as tall as a human. Inside them were dozens, hundreds even, of repulsive mutants. Some had no arms, or no legs, or two heads, or no face, or their innards turned inside out, but each had white skin, white hair, long clawed limbs, and ruby eyes. My lady, the child is born! Is Cassia not a normal navigator, just born like a normal child, but instead a laboratory experiment? Tons that went wrong being maintained, and she was the first success. A tall woman slowly approached one of the vats. Readings? Stable. Mutations? None were detected at any of the stages. Genes? Identical, my lady. Chances of survival? 100 times higher than any of the previous experiments. How long will it take for this child to grow? How long will it take to grow this child? I fear accelerating the process might cause the body to fail. The only one after years of silence. I understand the situation. Natural growth. I do not have that much time. We'll have to go with the backup plan. Yes, Novator, it will be done. The memory dissipates, and a gust of silvery wind hurled the Lord Captain back into the ocean of nothingness. But this time, the nothingness felt dismal. Instead of bright hues, all it contained was shadows of invisible monsters swimming by, shrouded by a nebulous veil of unfathomableness. Lord Captain closed his eyes and remained adrift in the weightlessness. So she was a cloned experiment of the previous Novator, specifically to be able to take the Atlas so that the Novator could eventually repossess her body. It's bad. Closed his eyes and remained adrift in the weightlessness. Ignatius stayed in that ocean of nothingness, devoid of any sensation or emotion, until an ornate ritual dagger floated before his eyes, reminding him of a world that once seemed more real than this one. Someone's scream broke the delicate equilibrium of the Lord Captain's motionless body, and the weightlessness released him. He plummeted into the maroon abyss of roiling illusions, but was now in full control of his body again. Then Ignatius descended into the abyss towards the screams. Lord Captain crashed in from an immeasurable height to the bottom of a roiling abyss. In the next moment, Ignatius saw two figures amid the billowing maroon mist. One of the figures, unnaturally gaunt and tall, was clutching the other, smaller one, in its claws, screaming furiously. Lord Captain, 87%. Man, that's a rough test. If we're using Cassia's 157, and it's still not enough to get us 100%, it's only an 87%. But we will attempt to peer into the strange maroon mist before we draw closer to the figures. But presumably we'll be able to tell it's Cassia and her mother. And what is with those faces? Succeeded, good. In the swirling mist all around him, Ignatius could make out the faces. He could make out human faces stricken with torment. And not just human faces, there were Xenos, Eldari. Their features fused together with those of humans, which made the Crimson Spectres look all the more abominable. Their gazes and their rage were directed at the two unmoving figures facing each other. Lord Captain drew closer to look at the figures. One step was all it took for some unknown force to notice the Lord Captain, seize him, and drag him through the painting's twisted space. Now the Lord Captain could clearly see the dark shade of the long-dead navigator, leaning over Cassia, clutching her neck in its clawed fingers. The shade screamed, "You were given life because of me. You survived because of me. And here you are now, because I have willed it so. Bow before me. Tell me what I wish to hear, and your suffering will end. Go on, child. I've waited for so long. Submit to me." Yeah, don't submit. Cassia looked exhausted, her body covered in hundreds of thin cuts, her lips lacerated, claw marks on her cheeks, yet there was steadfast resolve in her eyes. "I know who you are, Tisiphone Orsilio. I know what you crave. I saw it in the visions that you sent me again and again. I won't allow you. I will never allow you to become me." Cassia's fatigued voice quivered, but she was not about to yield in this battle. The Lord Captain stabbed Tisiphone Orsilio with the ritual dagger. Persuasion urged the Lady Navigator to fight the monster to the bitter end, or chose not to intervene. I mean, the Lady Navigator is vague in this case because they're both Lady Navigators. But referring to one as a monster, I'm assuming we are urging Cassia to fight Tisiphone. But that definitely needed to be worded better. Also, the fact that we can have Cassia use her persuasion to persuade herself to fight better. But I think we'll do the persuasion first before we stab Tisiphone Orsilio. Because I don't know what stabbing is going to do. But certainly Cassia can keep fighting. Lord Captain's words attracted not just Lady Cassia's attention. Tisiphone Orsilio finally noticed the presence of a living creature in that bizarre world, turned to face the interloper, and lunged forward, seething with rage. When the entity's claws were millimeters from the rogue trader's throat, Cassia opened her navigator's eye, and a wave of unbridled warp energy obliterated Tiffany's specter before she realized what was happening. The Lady Navigator graced the Lord Captain with a tired smile. The abortive ritual had turned out to be a trap set for Lady Cassia by the previous Novator of her house, but the rogue trader had ensured that her plan fell to ruin, and now it was time to desert that accursed place. Cassie took the rogue trader's hand and guided him through the maroon mist and out of the painting. Their unconscious bodies were discovered in the Sanctum Navis 20 Terran days after their disappearance, as soon as the rogue trader's void ship had emerged from the warp in an unknown system. I mean, this doesn't seem like an unknown system. This seems like the system we were heading to. But okay. Chart new routes. No new routes were found. Perform the ritual. Didn't we just do that? Let's see your quest. So if we go to... Oh yeah, that is this one. It's still showing perform the ritual even though it's done. The Lady Navigator is plagued by visions of her house's past. Cassie's asked the rogue trader to follow her visions so that she may expose the past and understand her true purpose in this world. The ritual recreated an ancient warp route which brought the rogue trader and the Lady Navigator to a world hidden in the eye of a warp storm. What secret does the planet's twisted heart contain? Crone World. Let's head in. We don't know which of these is the Crone World. The purple star is certainly something. I'm guessing you're the Crone World. Because you look weird and that looks like a standard lava world. Burning World. There is an event here. Augury's Anomaly. Before you is a burning world of inhospitable place at the mercy of a perpetual inferno due to its suffocating atmosphere and close proximity to the system's star. The firestorms on its surface never cease. What could the Casabalica be looking for in such a place? Okay. The Casabalica had a ship that we talked to ages ago that wanted information about burning worlds. We've run into several, but presumably this is the one specifically that they're looking for. Logic 100. Use the full capabilities of the augurs to locate something unusual on the planet. After many long hours spent analyzing the augur data, the tech priest noticed something unusual. A number of constructions of artificial origin can be detected under the planet's surface. They are too vast and peculiar to have been created by humans, but their geometric shapes and other properties clearly indicate they were put together by sentient beings of some kind. So some xeno artifact. Unfortunately, there are traces of human activity next to the mysterious constructions. It looks like somebody found a way to land on the planet and set up an archaeological dig. These ancient monuments have been stripped of anything of value or interest, but other burning worlds may yield new discoveries. Okay, then no. This isn't specifically the one they're looking for. This is a burning world that had cool stuff, but no longer. Well, we are basically at the end of my usual stream time, and I would rather wait to see where this storyline goes, because I don't know how long it's going to take, and I don't want to cut up the middle of a companion quest. So, I think I'm going to end the stream here, and next time we will head to this world, presumably the Crone World, and see what's going on with Cassia's questline. So thank you all for being here, and I will see you next week when we continue. Find out what's going on with Cassia's questline. Bye.